Hey, this is definitely the uncertified, uh, unauthorized, and undignified tutorial of anything in Autodesk AutoCAD Civil 3D. Some of the worst freaking design software ever, but the best marketed, and engineering companies continue to buy it. It's freaking Cheerios. It's an insult to Cheerios. So we will band together and get through it together. All right, stay tuned. Okay, starting out, this was two phases of a development. There were 5 lots there on the river in the existing house lot. I pulled this drawing in from the planning from the engineer that had provided it. Added it into my template for the layer filters, XREF'd in the PDF survey, shows the green tin outline. Surface does not cover the extents of the property. Let's see, these are my XREFs, existing conditions. I break my drawings up into lots of different drawings since Autodesk doesn't charge extra for more drawing files now. When I inherited this mess, 23 didn't work. They screwed up there was a slight convergence, so I had to hold the back line, right away line, and push it forward. That's what all those red lines were. These polylines that they had created they thought they weren't even parcels, they were sloppy and didn't work, so delete that crap. Save the survey notes off the existing conditions legend. This is in model space and existing conditions base file, which is a 2D file off the survey and other composites that we're going to use to XREF in. So what I'm going to do is clean up these lines here right away and connect all these, fillet the intersections in, and then check my geometry, and clean up what we have. When I create those alignments through the center line, poly edit, and then create an alignment from those, I will data shortcut those out and keep them and then use them because later on in this project the first corridor crashes in fatal error. See, there's a good reason I fixed that. Look how sloppy that geometry is, or how far off it is. So we'll just trim all this up here. And oh yeah, we had 2 center lines, so pick one, go figure. Yeah, and then just keep cleaning up our intersections. And I'm a little bit old school. I like to draw the geometry, so I have an actual physical radius point. So I usually do that in all my intersections. You'll see that. So I'm going to finish up this geometry and then come back, and then I'll meet you with the corridor. Alright, so as promised, here we go. I've already started some of the corridor in here off of an assembly, custom assemblies that I made, and then the code set. The goal here is to produce this corridor and have it as my site plan with the hatching and line work ultimately. So yeah, we'll get going. This is what I've got going so far, worked up, and we'll work this out. Eventually, I'm going to again draw my geometry up here, and the problem here is that we have 2 different widths of curbs so far, unless to get the city to back down on one of them. But yeah, for one street it's one width, the other is the other. So you're going to have 2 different, slightly different radiuses there. But I'm just going to go ahead and kind of trim these back out to where the intersections will be, and then eventually come back in and use the intersection tools later on after dinking around with some sidewalk modeling experiments. Okay, so I brought that detail in from the city standard on the intersection for the ADA ramps, and began modeling. And what I did is create feature lines on my face of walk there, and I also started curb corridor, but I made a feature line also for the back of walk line I would later use for the baseline to model that sidewalk through the turn over. Got a lot of assemblies in, man, for all kinds of situations. Alright, so my new favorite sub-assembly is the generic pavement slab, which you can use and then rename to whatever point codes that you wanted to use it for, and a lot of versatility in this. So yeah, that's what I'm using. And for pavement planning, checking out my feature line grades, which I used to kind of extract it from the back of walk on one corridor side to the other. That's the reason I made those partial corridors, was to get to where the back of walk, and grade with those elevation line values would be there near the intersection. So I'm starting out with a back of curb baseline, and just kind of playing with this sidewalk modeling and using that back of walk, and just see how it would play out. I thought about using it wrapping around, but then, well, that's what it turned out to look like. So, not really. Okay, so scratch that idea and let's change it. And I'm really can't stress enough, just be detailed and organizing your drawings, at least a sub-assembly name, so whenever you go into corridors and you got so much crap going on, man, you know what you're looking at for the targets, because you're going to have lots of targets. So just take the time and name it, and it just makes it so much easier in the long run. Yeah. Setting up this sidewalk and adding a couple extra little frequency locations by that station. As you can see, I got sidewalk left, sidewalk right, or whatever, so I know when I'm selecting feature lines there. That back of curb, top of curb is what I kind of extracted and remove the dynamic links so that you can use it and your corridor is not referencing itself. That will become a problem if you do. Rebuild it, and let's take a look at what this looks like. Sidewalk, please. Oops, wrong side. Gotta fix it. Okay, fixed it. Hey, it did pretty good. Almost got that corner. That was a weird, stupid detail from the city anyway, so hopefully we get a little variance or something, or a change. And that dumb back of curb right there is no bueno. So nobody liked that. So yeah, I'll just I'm gonna hold that, extend it. I can throw in some feature lines around those ADA ramps later when this becomes a final plan, but right now it's preliminary. So it's good, and drag this sidewalk around, and then drag my other street intersection up later, as you'll see, and everybody will tie together. Okay, so yeah, gonna add some pavement out here on this by just adding that, copying it over to an assembly, sub-assembly that I had, and let's fix the targets. Crown, as you can see, everything is there. Also, I had a really weird existing conditions profile down the center line of that road, which in actuality we're only doing half the road width for improvement. So I had to go in, and I'm going to pick that profile. I had to go make a new one over the bumps, because that existing profile was just it was a bad survey. So yeah, got that extended out to the center line there. That part of the intersection just about wrapped up for a preliminary. Just okay, got a little problem, so match region, whatever properties from one to the next, and boom, fix it, and then we'll squeeze it together. But that's what it's starting to look like there. And then everything was looking great until I had a crash. My corridor drawing, which was in my object drawing folder, became it was unusable. Fortunately, I had saved all my assemblies out, and so let's start over, a new template, and pulling in my site plan from a base, which is 2D, and then I had gone in and parceled the lots out, so that was good. So yeah, and the data shortcuts that I made for everything, surface, the alignments for all the streets. And so it didn't take too long to rebuild everything back and get back on progress. But hey, that's the world of Civil 3D, and that's also one of the problems if you are an idiot and you do all of your design and everything in one drawing. Your existing conditions are in there, you got 5 surfaces in there, and you're trying to do everything in there. It's just ridiculous. So anyway, yeah, pulled in my assemblies, and then we had to change for the ADA. I decided to just go with the edge travelway and then the back walk for baselines, and then modified those assemblies to meet that criteria. And the reason I wanted to use the edge of travelway, and see there's my flat curb section, is so that I could model those ramps along the ADA, and then also that step curb, because one thing that doesn't change in that elevation profile is the edge travelway, while the back of curb, top of curb elevation will change as you go through. This surface that you see is the corridor I created for the 30-foot access road. That was for the first phase of this design that I did, and that is for our existing road renovation. So we're going to build a corridor, and we're going to do it just like we did before. Except for it's going to be a little bit faster. We'll build the temporary sections along our streets and our intersections, and then we'll go back and use the intersection tool and create those. Okay, so I've gone in and remodeled that intersection using that back of walk, and then also the edge of travelway this time instead of back of curb. I even went on to that FDOT of their sub-assemblies and try to pull off their curbing. And some of these Civil 3D examples they give you from the authorized certified people, they leave out a lot unless you have a custom sub-assembly composer person sitting right there ready to help your ass out, which most of us do not. Most of us are trying to make a living. So this actually turned out pretty good, and so I went ahead and modeled this intersection as a corridor. The intersections are not in the same corridor as the street, which maybe they should have been, maybe they shouldn't have been, but nonetheless it worked out nicely. Surface turned out fine, and all the code work turned out pretty good once I went ahead and edited a couple of those points. But yeah, I'm just building this intersection down here, and just stepping through the parameters since I already knew what my offset value was to the edge travelway. And then I made my own assemblies. I'm not using theirs, that's for damn sure. And I even tried to save that assembly set file, in a file window format, up there, so you wouldn't have to keep doing this every time. And of course, that's another wonderful thing in Civil 3D that doesn't work the way it's supposed to work, because when I came in and did the other intersections and tried to pull, recover that as as browse, bring that set in and restore it, didn't really work too good. Okay, so this intersection worked out okie dokie. Got some issues, and then one was that sweet little bow tie over there, so we'll fix that up. And you also notice that over here some of the street didn't get out to the intersection, so we'll have to fix that. So fix the bow ties, get over here, and what are we doing first? Oh yeah, we're going to change that the code set. That's right. Now we're edit the targets. So yeah, fix some targets, will you? Okay, so yeah, I got all the streets out. We just connect these two up together, and ta-da! Now there's a little funky offset kind of thing going on around here. Not sure what that is, but we're going to take a little closer look at it. And what I found out was that, you know, it's not. You can see the sub base coming up through, so there's some elevation, there's some targets that are wrong, and so we go back and fix the targets that, and what come to find out is that intersection routine automatically set all these targets up for us, thinking that we needed them, but you know, I guess that might have been based off of their sub-assemblies and not ours. But so it's pretty quick, just a quick fix, go in and zap those out and let the sub-assembly grade take its course, and you'll see how that turned out. But you know, it's just ridiculous sometimes the way that Civil 3D has this set up, this whole dialogue mapping and corridors. It's so laborious to go through every single one of these and use the software. So, how's it look? Looks smoother. Looks good, right? Oh, there's a spot. Okay. So, we'll go fix it. Alright, so this intersection looks pretty good. You can tell by that tool palette that I tried to go into that F-dot Civil 3D and try to use their stuff. So I'm just going to go through my tool palette over there and rename all my intersections and of the corridors and whatnot, so it makes sense. So I'll send this project off back to the engineer, whoever inherits this wonderful hot mess, you know, will have something to work with. Oh, so there's still kept my details from the ADA ramp because my last corridor crashed. So just finish up this intersection here, and we'll move on to the next phase of the design. Okay, last thing is, remember I brought in that other surface from that access road. Now I have to tie in that access road up into our back a walk line for apron. And so, yeah, model that bad boy in because I'd had the previous alignment data shortcut in, and so now that surface pasted onto the other surface. And looks alright for preliminaries. A few little bumps in there. Go fix that. Yeah, and so you have all my hatching and line work, so it's perfect for ready to go with site plan. You can see all the daylight, but now we need to add some driveways. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and draw in some driveway. Oops, what's that right there? Problem. Whoops, gotta fix that. So no, it's all within that one corridor, so it's not a connection problem. It's just a frequency problem. So we're going to fix that. All looks good. Boom, bada bang, smooth. Okay, now. Alright, now we'll go put some driveway targets in. And then there's a couple of ways to do this, but I'm going to use a conditional driveway assembly and model these side driveways in, so it's going to break. You'll see. But right now I gotta go and put in a target, so I'm using a polyline, and then you see I changed all the finished floor elevations to 41, or to get up above that 39.1, and that's what the driveway elevation targets is going to be, 39.1, which gets us up out of the flood zone, and all that's fixed. And just draw all these, set them at the elevation, and then just go back and trim them. They're all in the same. They're also, one thing about it is you can put these in by layers, in which I'm a strong advocate of drawing everything in different layers that make sense. And then you could set that target in the corridor by the layer. But on this particular subdivision street design, because of those streets run parallel, it's not to say that if they were all in one layer, and it did before, it would grab the driveway targets even across another street, so your corridor really looks like some nasty spaghetti. This is the conditional target assembly, so if the target is not found, it's going to draw that step curb and a driveway, then it's going to go to a daylight planting strip, and if it is found, it's going to draw that flat curb, and then that little apron right there in the sub base. And like I said, I made all those out of the generic pavement structure. I just changed the link codes and everything, customized that, and it works sweet. Yeah, so there's your code: daylight in, daylight out, driveway. Okay, so what we need to do is also put those in our code set, and so that our driveway is going to look right, because like I said, the ultimate goal of the corridor is also to accomplish all the site plan drawing and line work as well. Okay, so as you can see, driveway, nothing, so we gotta put in a material. Okay, concrete. Same thing, shape, style, what's it gonna look like? Alright, for now, we're gonna change that. It's gonna look like curb, but it's not. C, corridor, driveway. Okay, that's what it's going to look like, the shape. And then we're going to put the pattern in. Driveway pattern. Okay, and that always will work with any of my layer filterings too, as far as turning stuff on and turning stuff off. Take a minute to name it properly. Now we can use it forever and ever. Driveway in, no display. What's it going to look like? Sure. Nope, not a corridor, sidewalk line, driveway line. Change it, see driveway. Oh, don't have one. Fix it. Okay. Same thing, driveway out, boom. Alright, now yeah, instead of screwing up my entire corridor, I'm just going to screw up one little section if it doesn't work out right or something gets stupid. So yeah, I've busted that up and made a partial, and I am going to go ahead and select it by the layer, C corridor feature driveway, so that's the targets, and yeah, kind of new at this, but it eventually did work out pretty nicely, and set all those driveways in place. And ta-da, there you go. Now, nice little driveway, there's a little sidewalk, the little apron, and then so that one worked out good. So let's copy it and then let's just mirror over so we have one for both sides of the street, and do it that way. And then when we do so, we're going to go up here to all these sub-assemblies, because that's another wonderful thing about Civil 3D is it make it so fucking laborious to do anything if you want to do it right. Anyway, and then we're going to rename all these left and right. Can't be intelligent to know it's on the left or right. But there again, if we had a custom sub-assembly composer working on our staff, we would probably be able to have all this solved for us and lickety-split. So I am going to rename them all so then when I do my targets, I know what I'm looking at. Okay, so here's where you know, my specificity of putting things in certain layers and whatnot, and keeping, you know, targeted things in targeted layers and that sort of thing, and then having some kind of layer conformity naming so that you can know how to get there. So if you had 100 flipping driveways or however many, you see how many polylines are showing up there on those targets by those layers, how many entities are in it, and you had to target all those, or you select each one of them, it'd be a pain in the butt, plus turning them on and off. So yeah, I did it by layers on this one, and you know, it worked out okay. We got through it. Overall, it was a heck of a lot easier and faster than, you know, hand drawing all those in or feature lining them in, as I see most people do. Most people don't try to powerize corridors and really make it work for you. So this is another part about having all my just there changing my frequencies, but having all my sub-assemblies named left and right so I'll know which way my targets are going. So we hit the go button, I think, and it wasn't quite that automatic, but yeah, you get the gist of it. Yeah, it worked out pretty good. So hey, if you learned something, give me a like up, and thanks, leave me a comment.